What are domain and range? Well, domain is just simply going to be the x values that exist on a function, and the range is the y values that exist on a function. So let's take a look at this first one. We have a quadratic parabola here. Now notice quadratic, the shape of that will always be the same for quadratic, quartic, to the power of 6, to the power of 8. Any even exponent, if it's the lead exponent, it's always going to be a parabola either facing up or facing down. In this case, facing up, we notice that the domain is always going to be every single x value, and that goes for any polynomial equation. So our domain is just going to be x is the element of the real numbers. Now for a range, it's not going to be exactly the same. What we can see here is we see that the lowest y value here is going to be at the axis, so it's going to be y equals 0. So we can say that y is greater than or equal to 0. That is our range. Now, let's look at this second equation. This one is going to be a cubic function, or it's going to be to the power of 3 as your lead exponent. And this also goes for to the power of 5, to the power of 7, to the power of 9. Any odd exponent is going to have a shape similar to this. Now, we remember our rule that a domain of a polynomial is always going to be x is an element of the real numbers, because every x value exists in a polynomial. And in this case, because we have an arrow going up, and we also have an arrow going down, we notice that it's going to go up and down infinitely in both directions. So we can also say that our range is going to be y is elements of the reals, because every y value exists on this function. Now let's go down a little bit here and look at this function here. Well, what do you notice? We have arrows going out to the side in both directions. So we can say our domain is x is an element of the reals, because we have an x value that exists on both points. But let's look at the y value here. We notice that it goes up to -2 and we have an open point, so there's actually no point at -2. But on the same x value, we have a point up here at 3 that continues onward. So we can say that our range is actually going to be y is less than -2 and y is greater than or equal to 3. And we say greater than or equal to here because we have a solid point here. That is how you find domain and range. If you have questions in the comments or have suggestions for future videos, let us know in the comments.